I'd like to welcome you all to this training. And today, well, we're going to talk about 7 deadly sins that are keeping you all from making potential revenue or from really mastering wholesale revenue and really driving it to the next level. So maybe some of you are watching this, have done some deals or are doing a few deals a month and haven't really kicked it up to the next level yet, or have had some success, something along those lines, and really haven't really pushed it to a new place. We call it moving the needle, right? Or maybe if you're watching this, again, depending on where you're watching it from, maybe you haven't done a deal yet, and this is going to be some super valuable stuff for you, because this is some high level thinking and high level wholesale mindset that we talk about in my $30,000 a year mastermind courses. So a lot of this stuff is going to be stuff that's again, some basic ideas here, but some also advanced techniques and some advanced thought processes that, again, no matter where you're at in the wholesale space, if you're doing 1 or 2 deals a month, if you haven't gotten started yet, if you're doing 10 or 15 deals a month, or if you're doing more, these are some serious thoughts that are going to help you shift the game no matter where you're at on the spectrum. So without further ado, let's kind of get started here, and let's talk about these 7 deadly sins that could potentially be choking off your wholesale revenue stream. So let's get started here. I'm going to go over the highlights of what the 7 deadly sins are, and then we're going to get deeper into each one. If you guys aren't familiar with who I am, my name's Joe Evangelisti. I run a multiple different companies, but one of them is a wholesale team within South Jersey or Southern New Jersey for you guys that aren't local, and right outside of Philadelphia in Southern New Jersey. And I've been doing wholesale now. I've been in the real estate business for about 12 years, and I've been doing wholesale for probably 8 or 10 of those years, back before really wholesale was popular, or we even called it wholesale. Back then we used to call it just assignment contracts, right? So I've been in wholesale for a long time, and the team now, although I'm really known as the Flip King and as a flip, a bigger flipper, we're really tuned in more into the wholesale space more and more recently, as a lot of people are. So part of the reason behind this training is to give you guys a little bit more insight into, I'm in conversations a lot with people that hit me up and what's the big game shifter? What's the things that are helping you succeed? And what I do is I run into people a lot of times that are having problems. And when I talk to them about what their problems are, what their issues are, I started to create this list of what the issues are that I see overwhelmingly over and over again in the business. And that's how we kind of came up with the 7 deadly sins list. So what are they? Without further ado, let's kind of run through and see what they are, right? Well, for starters, number 1 is I see companies and teams just giving away offers all the time. I'm going to get deeper into that. Of course, your job is to give away offers, but what do I mean by that? We'll talk about that in a second. Number 2, probably one of the more important things, inconsistent marketing, right? You should be a lead generation engine. You should be marketing all the time. We're going to talk about some inconsistent marketing problems and techniques to fix that. Last thing, or number 3, rather, lack of scheduling in your team, lack of scheduling in your marketing, lack of scheduling just in your life in general. In some ways, we can tune that in. Number 4, hiding, lying, and BSing, right? I think this is one of the biggest challenges in the wholesale space. And I think there's a lot of gurus out there that are teaching it just flat out wrong and just not good for the space. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. Next one, no key KPIs. If you haven't heard this terminology before, folks, and you want to grow a real business, you got to learn this term. This is called key performance indicators. These are the numbers that you need to run your business by. And if you're watching this video, I really, truly hope that you're trying to create a real business. So we're going to get into that a little bit today as well. Next one is you are the mule, right? We have the mule and we have the magician. If you are a mule right now, we want to fix that. I'm going to talk about what that is today. And then last but not least, no H2H. We're going to talk about what H2H is today and the lack of it a lot of times I see in this business, which might also be hindering you in a big way in your business. So I'm going to try to keep this one brief today, guys. So hang with me. Make sure you grab a pen and a notepad if you're this far along. Grab some notes on this video. Of course, you can backtrack it, rewatch it if you have the download, and you can always come back to it. And as always, you guys can hit me up at the end of this, and we can always answer some questions for you as well. So, giving away offers. What do I mean by this, right? So, first of all, it's a big drain on your time, right? And what I mean by giving away offers is we're not putting the work in first, folks, right? What I see a lot of people doing in this space is literally getting on the phone with sellers and just giving away offers, right? And what does this create? This creates a lot of problems within our space as far as lack of consistency with the sellers, right? Not building rapport in advance. Like, what do I mean by putting in the work? Well, I mean understanding your prospect, understanding the person on the phone. If you're at the point where you've generated that lead and you've put in the marketing time and the dollars and the effort to get that seller on the phone, don't waste it, right? So a lot of you that have teams, right, we're training our team to do busy work. In other words, what I mean by that is if you're not training your team to understand the prospect, to understand and build rapport with their SLE, which I call their situation, location, and equity, right? If we're not getting deep in that with the prospect and we're just training our team to go out and throw out offers without understanding what's happening, well, then we're just creating them busy work. They have a ton of follow-ups and they're always chasing follow-ups because they're just throwing out offers, right? Without understanding the situation, the location, and the equity, without understanding, is this a deal? Without understanding, does the seller have the ability to put this together? And do they have the motivation to put this together, right? Another thing about throwing out offers all the time is your offer might be completely off base. So you find yourself putting out offers and potentially signing contracts with deals that you have zero ability to do anything with, right? And so this becomes a big challenge in the business, right? So you find yourself building up a pipeline of deals that are unclosable, or you find yourself putting out offers, which is a catch-22 because sometimes we're just putting out offers and you get a seller on the phone, you don't understand their motivation, they might not even have any reason to move, and we're just throwing offers out there, right? So do you want to be in the offer giving business or do you want to be in the deal closing business? And that's what you got to ask yourself, right? A lot of times just throwing an offer out there puts the seller in the pole position, makes the seller in charge now, right? We're just going to, if the seller thinks they can just call you and just get an offer willy-nilly without any questions being answered, right? Now all of a sudden they're in charge. They have everything. They know where you're at, right? So again, just giving away those offers without asking tough questions first. Hey, Mr. Seller, I understand that you're looking for an offer. I just need 5 minutes of your time to try to figure out if this is something that's even good for us, right? Sometimes, guys, holding back, people want what they can't have, right? You ever had that maybe that girl in high school or that guy in high school that you wanted to ask to the prom or ask to the cotillion or ask to some dance, and they felt like it was maybe they couldn't have it, or they couldn't it was outside of their reach, right? It was something that God, it was scary, it's nervous, you had those butterflies, right? It's the same thing with a seller. They're looking for an offer, but if you just go out there and give it to them right away, well, it's not as exciting, right? But if you have to get through some tough questions and find out the situation and understand what they're going through, well, all of a sudden you have some more ammo to give them what they're really ultimately looking for as an offer. Sometimes you might find out they're not even looking for an offer. They're really just looking to kind of kick tires and see what's out there. And at that point, you're probably not looking for that person. So being upfront with them and letting them know that you really can't add value at this point in time is sometimes more important than just throwing out offers, right? Just vomiting up offers. It also creates busy work for your team because sometimes you're giving out offers and your team's spending time following up and chasing people who are not important to work with. So just giving out offers is a massive time waste and a follow-up pitfall, right? So creating that offer, giving away offers consistently, guys, problem there is we're just creating an offer follow-up pitfall. And again, just a huge black hole of death that is not a consistent practice, right? So how do we fix that? Well, we create situation, location, and equity, and we learn and we build rapport with our sellers. We only give out offers when we know we can actually create a deal, or we're working with someone who has the motivation to work with us, right? Next one, inconsistent marketing. One of the toughest ones I see all the time, right? Joe, I don't have enough lead flow. Joe, I can't create enough deal flow. I'm not talking to enough people. When I'm talking to people, they're not the right qualified people, right? Folks, this comes from us not sending out enough marketing, right? Or lack of planning or no plan whatsoever, right? Not consistently doing our direct mail or doing our SEO or doing whatever type of marketing it is that works for you. And that's a whole different type of training, right? But not being consistent about putting that marketing out. We don't even know sometimes what it is that we want to send, right? And next thing is we're always mixing it up. We're constantly deciding, this piece didn't work. Again, consistency. Folks, it takes sometimes mailing something 6, 8, 10 times before you even know if it's going to work. So instead, if you're going to send out 10,000 pieces, send out 1,000 pieces per week for 10 weeks. Don't just send out 10,000 pieces one time and then decide, that piece didn't work. Not only are you spending a massive amount of cash at one point, but then you're also, it might have been a bad week. It might have been a holiday. It might have been the mail was supposed to get delivered on Thursday and it got delivered on a Monday, or whatever. You don't know. So the only way to really track that is to break it up, do it consistently, and see what happens over the course of time. Maybe you want to change that mail piece from yellow to red, or from yellow to green, or maybe you want to change the copy, the content, right? Stop looking at the other guy. This is another part about inconsistency, right? We send out a mailer and we don't like the results after 1 week. So then we start looking to what are the Joneses doing? And we start paying attention to what's going on next door to us, right? And we start becoming inconsistent with our mailers. What I coach on is build a foundation. Find something over the course of 10 mailers that's starting to work and build some consistent lead flow for you, and make that your foundational piece. We do right now in my business probably 20 different forms of marketing within the business, but I have still to this day been sending the same postcard every single week for the last 5 years, the exact same postcard. That's my foundational piece. I won't change it unless it stops working completely. The results have gone up and down slightly over the last couple of years, but we change up the list, we keep sending the same thing. You got to find a foundational piece that's going to work for you so that you know you have some consistency built in, especially when you're starting out. You got to find something, even if you're sending out a couple hundred a week, even if you're doing them by hand. I don't care what it is that you're doing. You got to find consistency that goes out every week. And you can't be, again, worried about that cash flow, because marketing is your cash flow, right? There's going to be a delay in what you send this week and the results happening 30, 60, 90 days from now. So you got to make sure that you're doing stuff each and every single week. And if you're worried about the cash, worry about the entire business, because if you miss a week, or you miss 2 weeks, or you miss 3 weeks, that's going to affect you 45 days from now. You got to have that marketing consistency. And if you and the last thing about the consistency is people are saying, well, I have no support, I have no schedule, I have no ability to build this thing out. If it's just you, you got to find time. Folks, there's 24 hours in a day. If it's got to be your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or your kids, somebody's got to help you. Somebody's got to support you. Marketing must be the top priority, no matter how big or small your business is. It's got to go out no matter what, every single week. Marketing has got to be the top priority for your company. Consistency is key in marketing. I can't stress it enough. Every single person, again, brand new all the way to people in our masterminds that say, I have lead flow problems, I have lead gen problems. It always comes back to, are you marketing each and every week? Are you marketing consistently? And the answer comes back to, no, I skipped some weeks. Well, get back on the consistency train, guys. That's where it happens. The schedule, right? This doesn't just have to do with your life. It doesn't have to do with your marketing. It has to do with everything, right? Getting on a schedule, folks. Getting your life on a schedule. Do you want to live a life of reaction or a life of proaction, right? Talk about this a lot, and I preach the miracle morning, which is basically the concept of getting up before the sunrise or long before the sunrise, depending on if you're in daylight savings time, but getting up early in the morning, taking care of a routine, and getting things done way before the average person does, right? And living in a proactive state where we know we're going to accomplish certain things before, we get into our routine, right? Most people live in a reactive state. If you think about it, they're constantly checking social media, constantly checking their email, constantly checking their text, and then reacting to it, right? Do you want to be a person of proactivity or reactivity? I want to be a person of proactivity. I want to set my schedule. I want to set my goals for the day. I want to set the things that I'm going to achieve. I want to set the conversations I'm going to have. I want to set the gratitude that I have today. I want to be proactive about the conversations I'm going to have, right? And I set my mindset for the big things I'm going to accomplish each and every day instead of waiting to react to whatever comes my way. Folks, when you live in a reactive mindset, you're going to get whatever you're given. And that's going to continue to happen each and every day. And trust me, you're not going to be given very much to be dealt with. You're not going to be happy with what you're given. When you live in proaction, you're going to go out and get it. You're going to be a taker. You're going to go out and you're going to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish because you're proactively going out and achieving it. So scheduling and being proactive about your schedule are paramount to being successful. And that's not just in wholesale, that's in life, guys. Not planning and always chasing, right? Again, this goes back to our marketing, but it goes back to everything in wholesale. If you're not planning your day, your times for your appointments, your times to meet people, your times to do your marketing, again, if you're doing this as a part-time job or you're doing this as a full-time career, you have to plan to be successful. You can't just do it part-time. You can't constantly have that to-do list. You got to get in front of it. Everything is going to be in marketing, especially. I said this at the last slide. When you're doing your marketing consistently every week, you have less worry about are the leads going to flow in each and every week. But some marketing pieces, guys, especially if you're working in, if you're doing an ad campaign online, for example, you might put the money in this week, and it might take time for that SEO to build up. It might take time for that, Facebook funnel to get built out, or, whatever strategy you're working on. Sometimes the direct mail piece might take 30 days to get delivered, sit on a kitchen table, somebody picks it up, they make the phone call. So consistency is so important because the things that you do this week might not actually be answered or called for 30 to 60 days, 30, 45, 60 days. So if you skip 2 weeks now, it might be a month from now where you don't get paid or you don't get leads and you have that gap. The problem is people say, oh, well, I'm slow this week, but they don't know why. And then you can never track back to, oh, it's because I didn't do anything 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, right? That's why consistency is so powerful. When you're not scheduled and you're not consistent, you start to see that those delays start to stack up and you don't know why. There's always going to be a delay in your proactivity. Being proactive every day, you won't notice those 30, 60-day delays and those gaps because consistency is going to fill in those gaps for you. Consistency always. I can't use this word enough, right? Consistently always. Yeah, okay. So I don't even know if I use the right word here, but right. So you always want to be consistent, right? Staying consistent in your schedule, staying consistent in your marketing. Schedule and your KPIs will build your plan, right? So when we build out our schedule and we have our key performance indicators in place, and talk about those for a second. So certain KPIs for your marketing, right, might be how many pieces did you send out each week? How many callbacks did you get on those pieces? How many of those pieces were converted to leads? How many of those leads were converted to contracts? And how many of those contracts were converted to closings, right? Every one of those numbers is a key performance indicator. Now, again, a whole nother class, a whole nother time, we'll do a recording on how to convert those KPIs into metrics that you can use so that you know how much every deal costs you to close, how much you spend on marketing, how much you spend on overhead, how much you spent on commissions and so forth within the team to do a closing, and then what your net was on each deal. You ultimately want to have those KPIs reported back to you from the people within your team. Now, when you're starting out and you're a one-man show or you and an assistant, so forth, it's going to be harder to get those KPIs, but you still want to figure them out. You don't want to get to the point where you're so bogged down in minutia that you're not tracking your KPIs. In fact, it's a lot easier to track your KPIs when you're on a smaller scale, because you really shouldn't be doing that much different marketing. You should be really succinct on what you're spending and what you're getting back. It's a matter of tracking, putting a simple CRM in place, and understanding your metrics and tracking those things really well. Once you get everything built, now you can outsource those things. Again, getting a simple CRM, getting something where you can track those metrics and have them reported automatically back to you. The next 7 deadly sin, right, is the hiding, the lying, and the BSing, right? Whether this is straightforward BSing yourself, lying to yourself, hiding from yourself, hiding from the truth, or doing it outright to the people or the sellers or whoever in the industry, right, folks? Here's the bottom line. It's a surefire way to a short career. I see this happening a lot. I see it happen on social media. Certain people that I have I have conversations with, certainly nobody in our circle or nobody in base camp or nobody in our mastermind groups. But definitely I see the conversations happen more and more and more. Folks, in this industry in wholesale, you can't BS your way out of a deal. You can't BS your way into a deal. And lying to a seller or lying to anybody else within the industry is a surefire way to a short career, right? So just be truthful. It also, the BS and the lying is going to double the amount of work that you have to do, right? There's no sense in getting into a deal and acting like you're great at what you do, or acting like you have experience when you don't. There's no reason in telling a seller that you're going to perform and purchase their house if you've never purchased a house before. Be truthful. Tell them that you're going to market, and you tell them you're going to try to find a buyer. Tell them that you're going whatever the truth is at that moment. Be truthful with the seller. Help them understand. If you're going to have a due diligence period, explain what that is. If you don't have, the connections, explain what that is. Folks, if you don't have those connections, make those connections, right? Here's the deal. The A players in the game, the experienced investors, folks like myself, we smell that shit from a mile away. It's not, nobody believes you anyway. So there's no sense in hiding and lying and BSing, right? When you start to lie, it's hard to keep track of all your lies, right? I don't even know how these guys do it. These, especially the daisy chainers that are acting like it's their deal, and they're calling and they're trying to put deals together. It's like, dude, just be straightforward. By the way, it's okay to daisy chain a deal if you get permission, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But the people that are like trying to resell other people's deals and they have no parts of it, they have no chance of closing, they have no interest in closing, like some of this stuff has got to go within our industry. But if you're doing it, stop. There's such better ways to make money in the business without hiding and lying, right? It's going to repel the A players. The people who are great at this business, you're going to get snuffed out, because when you start dealing with A players, they're going to, and you start to screw people over, especially when you're lying and cheating and all this crap, you're going to find out that the A players, they're going to talk to other A players, and you're going to quickly get snuffed out of the business. You're not going to have ability to close and wholesale, especially when other investors get word of who you are and what you do, right? What you're all about. And ultimately, your affiliates are going to disappear, right? Your title companies are going to disappear. The inspectors you're dealing with are going to disappear. It's going to happen really quick if you continue to do the hiding, lying, and BSing. Now, I'm going to keep this one quick, because hopefully a lot of people on this call are not that person, or don't plan on being those people. But bottom line is, guys, be ethical, be truthful, be straight up, I've helped so many people locally in my market that come to me and say, this is my first deal, or, I'm just started talking to this seller, or whatever. I want to see people, and most A players, by the way, want to see people be successful. We want to see them make money. So even if they bring me a deal that's upside down or backwards, it doesn't make sense, I'm going to coach them on how to make a deal out of that deal, if there's a deal to be made. So, and most A players are going to do that. Not tracking and lack of KPIs. I can keep using this term KPIs, and here's where we're going to dive deeper, or a little bit deeper into it, right? Is understanding your KPIs, right? It's like shooting spitballs when you don't have metrics to base your business off of. What I mean by that is, we're sending out marketing into the world, or we're making a bunch of phone calls, or, and we're not tracking any of it, right? Maybe you've made 2,000 phone calls, or it feels like, let me give you this example. Maybe it feels like you've made 2,000 phone calls, you haven't gotten anywhere, and you start to give up. But if you really would have tracked that number, you would have realized you only made 200 phone calls, because from a guy that's been in the business for over a decade as a salesperson, I can tell you that if I didn't write down all the phone calls I made, 200 phone calls on a given day could feel like 2,000 phone calls. Trust me. In fact, it's really hard to hand dial 200 phone calls unless you're working a solid 8 to 10 hours with very little breaks, right? You can do that simply, very easily with like a Mojo dialing system or something like that. But 200 phone calls is a lot of phone calls, right? Especially if you're making a lot of connections, if you have a good list. If you're not tracking those things, it could feel like, especially to a new salesperson who's not equipped to handle a lot of conversations and a lot of dials, that could feel like 2,000 phone calls, and it could also feel like you're getting nowhere, and it could feel like making you quit really soon, right? However, if you track your numbers and you realize I've only made 200 phone calls and I got the door slammed in my face 10 times, you might start to put things into reality and say, I've only talked to 10 people who said no to me. Maybe I should make another 1,800 phone calls before I quit, right? Or better yet, you get a deal done and you start to realize, which is the better version of this story, you get a deal done and you realize it only took you 10 conversations to make $10,000, and you start to understand your conversion rate. See, when we track KPIs, key performance indicators, we understand that those things are the actual numbers we can start to run a business by. So when you start to train other people within your company, you can start to understand how it's going to be successful based on what their metrics are. Maybe you hire a salesperson and he takes 15 phone calls to close a deal, or 20 phone calls to close a deal, or 5 phone calls to close a deal. You'll start to understand that he needs to be on X amount of phone calls a week in order for you to make money profitably, right? So stop shooting spitballs. It leads to poor decisions and lack of knowledge. Again, you can understand that from the context, right? And folks, your KPIs are going to be different, just like your marketing. They're going to be different in every market, in every micro market. Your copy, your piece, your mailers, your marketing, all of these things are going to be different in every market. So your KPIs are going to be unique to you. What you're sending, what color you're sending, the text that you're using on it, the copy you're using on it. You can't just pick up and say, I live in South Jersey, I'm going to do what my friend is doing in San Francisco. So you need metrics in order to decide what's working for you personally, so you can start to decide how to zig and how to zag. Otherwise, you're zigging and zagging, you're just shooting spitballs. You're not making any sense of anything, right? You're not making educated decisions, you're making poor decisions. All right, almost there. Second to last, number 6 of the 7 deadly sins, you are the mule. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, if you're starting out and you just started as a wholesaler, you are the mule. You're going to be the mule. You're going to be this guy right here with bags on his back. You're going to be carrying everything. You're going to be carrying the whole load. But ultimately, if you don't want to have a lifestyle business, as my friend Judge says, and you want to build an enterprise business, what's the difference? Well, a lifestyle business means that you're going to have a job, and the business cannot run without you. A enterprise business is you're going to build a team, and they're going to be able to make money for you, and the business is going to ultimately sustain you as a person, so you can go out and you can maybe start more businesses, or you can do whatever you want. But the concept here is you can either be a mule or you can be a magician, right? And the mule is going to have that bag on his back forever, but the magician is going to be able to create magic. He's going to be able to create proactivity in his life and create a real lifestyle, right? So if you're the mule, you can't make revenue and create leverage, right? We want to be able to, at the very early stages, once we start in this wholesale business, here's the beauty of the wholesale business. What I love about wholesale, it's a very easy way, when we don't overcomplicate it and we don't mind fuck it, it's a very easy way to take and make revenue in a very simplistic approach. You guys, we're selling a contract, we're assigning a piece of paper and make big revenue. As long as you have the right mindset, as long as you're not those guys that are trying to make $1,500 or $2,500 on an assignment, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that at the beginning, but quickly you should be trying to create a bigger gap, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 assignment. When you make your first $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 assignment fee, make that revenue, immediately start to create leverage. What do I mean by leverage? Hire people, get an assistant, get an acquisitions person, get a dispositions person over time, right? Start to build a team, right? So make revenue, create leverage. I see too many people come to me that have made a ton of revenue, maybe a couple 100,000 in the last 6 months. And I say to them, and they're like, oh, Joe, I'm drowning. I can't keep up. I'm so busy. I don't know what to do. Great. What's your team look like? Oh, I don't have one. I got 2 people. You know, I got 2 acquisitions guys and me. That's it. Start hiring people. What are you waiting for? Make money, create leverage. Okay. You get stuck in a cycle. You get stuck in what you're used to. You start to like your lifestyle business, and the problem is it's not serving you anymore. So you got to get deep on it. You got to get out of that cycle, right? That's part of the 7 deadly sins. And when you're the mule, you start to like becoming the mule, right? You start to like that bag on your back. You start to like the walk that you're on. You start to like the leash around your neck. Don't be the mule forever, guys. You can start to record what you're doing and reproduce it, right? Record what you're doing, just like I am on this training, right? I'll tell you guys a little selfish secret, because if you got this far, you're obviously engaged and you like the content. I'm doing this content not just for you, not just for those of you that I don't know that are watching this, but for my team, right? I do these trainings so that my team can get the benefit of the trainings, so that the guys that work for us can understand that these are the things that are gonna make us suffer as a team, right? These are the 7 deadly sins that are gonna keep our team from making revenue if we do them, right? So there's a selfish reason behind the trainings. For you guys that are watching this, that are in that space where you're the mule right now, start to learn to record trainings just like this and reproduce yourself, right? I've been doing these for years. I've been doing trainings for years for my own team. And now I just started recently, in the last couple of years, actually putting them out there to everybody because it's content. It's good. Define your core values early. Something I've done for years and years. We've had core values hanging on our wall in our office for all of our team to see. Start to decide what you want to emulate, what you want to see. If you're going to build a team of leaders within your organization, how do you want them to act? What kind of person do you want them to be? How do you want them to be within your organization? Define who you are so you can define who you want them to be. And you'll start to attract that type of person. So you can stop being the mule and start to get on your business, right? Start to work on your business. You're not going to be able to work on your business while you're working in your business, right? You can't become the magician while you are the mule. Now, you can make that transition. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't do both for a time period. Sometimes I am the mule. Sometimes I'm back in the system. Sometimes I'm back in the grind. But you want to spend as much time as you can on the business, because that's where you're going to start to leverage yourself, and you're going to start to create more opportunities for not only your team members, but for other businesses you can start. So get out of on your business and start to work, as the magician, right? Get out of in your business, start to work on your business as the magician. And last but not least, no H2H. Right? This is the big killer, guys. I think this is probably one of the top things that's keeping a lot of wholesalers from making revenue, right? What is H2H? Well, you guys have all heard of B2B and B2C, right? Hopefully you have. Business to business and business to customer, right? So what's H2H? Well, you see all these happy, smiley folks at the bottom of the screen here. H2H is human to human. And my friend Joey Coleman does a great job of explaining this in his book, Never Lose a Customer Again. I don't get anything done. There's no affiliate link here, guys. A great book. Go pick it up on Amazon. You should check it out. H2H is the concept of human to human, and this is missing in our community today. The great people in wholesale are doing this at a great level. This is something that's missing at a lot of different levels, because what happens in our business, people think that if you get a 3, 4, 5,000 cash buyer list, you're going to make all the money in the world. Just keep pumping them with emails and text, right? That's what's missing. We have to start to pick up the phone and create relationships with investors, right? Start to become a people person, right? Start to send them videos of yourself one-on-one, not mass text, not mass video, not mass email, right? Now, I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not telling you to not email your list. What I'm trying to tell you is create relationships, right? Figure out who the top investors are in the area that your deal is located. Pick up the phone and call them one-on-one. Hey, Joe, I noticed you buy houses in Haddonfield. I just happened to pick up a deal there, and I wanted to make sure that maybe this is something that you're interested in. I'd love to have a chat with you, right? Here's the bottom line, guys. I don't care if you've never done a deal before ever, or if you do 20 deals a month, 50 deals a month. If you pick up that phone and you call me and you have that conversation with me, I will talk to you. If you have a deal in my backyard, I will talk to you. I don't care if you're brand new. Why? Because this is my game. I love real estate. And so does every other A-player investor who's doing deals right now. They will want to talk to you because they breathe this shit. They live it all day long. They love it. And they want to create H to H, right? They want to have these interactions. When you get them on the phone, what makes a good deal for you? What makes sense for you? I want to find deals that make sense for you, right? Guys, even if you're close to a deal, if you've never done a deal before and you come close to a deal, you have a conversation with a seller in Haddonfield, I'm using this as an example, it was my town, and you talk to somebody and you say, what are you looking for the house? And they say 100 grand. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to do some research and call you back. You pick up the phone, you call Joe, and I say, hey, you know what, Bob? That might make great sense at 75,000. Perfect. Tell you what, Joe, I'm going to talk to this seller and see what I can do for you. I'll call you back, right? This is how deals are made, guys. We call this creating the gap, right? Look at this point. Look at this point. You don't have a deal, but you've just made a great introductory conversation with a bona fide investor who's doing deals. You've had a conversation with a seller. You've legit potentially made an introduction with a real investor for their house. So at this point, you haven't BS'd or lied to anybody, right? Now you can call that seller back and say, look, I have a legit investor who's buying everything in your neighborhood, right? I got to get this deal for 65 grand in order to sell it to them. They gave me their bottom line price. They told me what they can buy this house for. And the only way this deal works is the 65 grand, right? Now, there's a whole lot of different negotiating tactics and things like that can make sense in this scenario. And you want to go back and you want to still understand situation, location, equity. There's a lot more that goes back into that conversation. But my concept to you guys is H to H, right? Talk to humans. Stop throwing out an offer on the front end and then trying to figure it out on the back end. Talk to the people who are buying deals in your neighborhood. Stop skipping this part. Make the deal work. Care about people. No, really, really care about people, right? Pay attention to what they're buying so you can help them buy. This is super, super important. Stop fucking automating everything. I can't stress this enough. You're not going to make $20,000 a deal by pressing buttons behind your laptop. It will not work. It's not going to happen. I know the best guys in this business around the nation, and yes, they have CRMs. Yes, they have contact solutions. Yes, they're using buttons to try to figure out ARV and the best offer. But at the end of the day, they are picking up the phone and having conversations with human beings. Folks, there's no push button, success button that's going to do all the work for you. You need to make contact. You need to talk to people. You need to ask difficult questions and build rapport. I promise you, don't let any of these 7 deadly sins take advantage of your business. Create the real revenue. Learn to listen and then listen some more. We have 2 ears, and I promise when you use your 2 ears, create that human-to-human contact, you're going to have a bunch of smiley faces, just like at the bottom of the screen. So I try to keep it short. I know it was a big one, but I hope you guys found value in this training. I hope you guys avoid the 7 deadly sins, and I hope you guys take advantage of some of the things we're taught in this training. Go out, make some revenue, crush some deals, and I will catch up with you guys soon.